back live from Pints and Courts Pub and Grill here on Country 93.1. This is the Crusader Coaches Show. My name is Matt Shapkus, and again, joining me, the head coach of the Muskegon Catholic Central Crusaders, Coach Steve Zerwan, and Coach Fruitport Trojans coming in. Actually, we're headed on the road to their house this week, and you talked a little bit about that game last year, and I think everybody came away with the feeling last year that that was an opportunity missed. How similar or different is that Fruitport team from last year to this year?
They graduated some key kids. They graduated their, we thought there was their best player, their linebacker, running back. I believe his first name was Dakota. The quarterback last year was more than capable, and he was a senior, and he graduated as well. They graduated another offensive lineman, Flores, but they returned some good kids. They returned Hendricks, a kid that used to go to Mona Shores and has played at Fruitport the last 2 years, and he's a 6'5", 260-pound defensive tackle, offensive tackle, and we know he's got some ability. And a couple new faces, I guess you would say. We know the kid off the JV last year who played linebacker, running back. He's one of their linebackers, and they got another kid, a Reyes kid, who's a receiver, who's a real nice target on the outside, and they have a quarterback who seems to be capable in running their new offense. So they definitely. They've graduated some key people, but then again, they had a pretty good JV team last year, so they kind of filled in. And, they're 5-2 as well, so they're feeling pretty good about what they're doing and, how they've handled the competition so far.
Now, talk a little bit. This is not your old Fruitport Trojans with the winged helmet and the running the wing tee offense. They've got a new look, not only physically with their helmets and everything, but this is no longer just running the wing tee 50 plays a game.
Sunday morning when we had our meeting, that was one of the first comments. I forget what coach said it, but do they have the winged helmet anymore? And we went to a little discussion. No, I think it's got an F on it. Well, when did they change that? Well, we couldn't figure it out because, again, it's always traditionally been that old kind of Michigan-style winged helmet, navy blue and white. No, they used to when Coach Wilson was there, who did a phenomenal job for years. They were more of a T formation, double tight end, three backs in the backfield kind of T, and would just kind of grind you out. Now they've switched the last 2 years under the direction of Greg Vargas, who's there, and they tend to spread you out a little more, doing a little bit more of, I don't know what's traditional anymore because you see so many types of offenses, but they're shotgun every play, and they're 2-3 wide receivers out, and they're throwing the ball out in space, and they're still handing it off to a running back out of a shotgun formation, and the quarterback keeps it sometimes, kind of a little read option look where he reads the backside end. So, that's what they've changed a little bit, but I guess football's changing, and I think the coach there has made a comment that he's just trying to keep up with the changes and kind of keep building and keep evolving where they're at as a program. So, I give them credit for making such a drastic change, and we'll see how it works out for them on Friday night.
Now, would you say they're about 50-50 pass and run, or are they still more run-heavy team?
I'd say it's real close to 50-50.
Okay.
They've, if you think back to the old days of watching Fruitport where they, run the ball, 10-1, probably versus passing. They do some things. They're no huddle. They call the plays right from the sideline, and the kids know where they're going. So, all that takes a tremendous amount of work to put in, in the summertime from the kids and the coaches. And looks like they've done a real nice job handling it. I mean, they're 5-2 and rolling through some competition. So, I think we're going to see about a 50-50 balance looked out of them on Friday night.
Okay, and that brings me to kind of an important question for you. We saw Tommy Scott go down with an injury partway through the game last week. Is he going to be available to play some cornerback for you this week?
No, he's fine. He had, I don't know. We already had a collarbone injury this year, and he just got a little dinged up, and we wanted to be, with the score 42-0, we wanted to be as cautious as we could with everybody. So no, Tommy's fine. Tommy's gone through all the hitting drills. He felt fine by Sunday. So, again, those are just little bumps and bruises that come in the course of the football season, and you're glad it's nothing more than that.
Now, how many games of film have you looked at with Fruitport? Have you looked at their whole season and kind of compared? Because you've got a couple opponents in common coming into this game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's safe to say we've seen every game.
Okay.
I mean, we've seen every play they've run in every game. So, we think we have a good feel of what they do, and again, but people don't change a lot. We don't think it comes game 8, and you might be saving a few things and a few trick plays you haven't run yet. And, but I think every team, your base stuff is your base stuff, and your job as an opposing coach is to stop what they do, and figure out their defense, what they do, and then you just kind of deal with the trick stuff and the new stuff as the game goes on, and that's part of your in-game coaching.
Okay. Now, Fruitport, I covered Fruitport writing for the Grand Haven Tribune for a number of years, and they always struck me as a team that had just a couple monster linemen. It seemed like every year they'd haul out a couple guys, like Flores was last year for them. Just taking a look at the heights and weights on their roster this year, it doesn't look like they have that one guy that can really clear space this year.
Well, I think Chris Hendricks, who's there, he'll play left tackle for him, and he's mostly plays a 3 technique inside a defensive tackle. He's a bigger kid, kind of in that mold. And they were kind of a load last year to handle when him and Flores were inside. But yeah, it looks like where in some years they have 2 or 3 of those guys, they have one. And they've got, I don't know, you're always dealing with they have such a good youth program out there, and you're dealing with, tough, scrappy kids, and you usually do a great job in the weight room out there. So, not too dissimilar to maybe the kind of kids you play against when you, think about an Oak Ridge or something, or Urbana. So, we know the kind of kids we're going to be dealing with this week, and we know they're, they always play hard, and they're maybe not the size they've had a little bit in the past, but again, when you're trying to spread teams out and do a couple different things, you maybe not need those size as you did in the past to really, come off the ball where you had to. With doing different things, maybe they're just adapting to the kind of kids they have coming through their program.
Okay. Now, I want to take a look at a particular area on your team, and that's down in the trenches on the lines, both lines, because especially the past 5 weeks, they have really established on the offensive side huge holes for you guys. The surge you guys have been getting the last couple of weeks from that offensive line has also just been phenomenal. And defensively, you're really stopping the run very well. And just talk about that group of guys as a whole and what they're doing this week in preparation for probably a more formidable opponent.
Yeah, I don't know if we're doing everything different. I mean, what we do is, I think it's one of the reasons that we have had success so far is Mike Rebecki and Scott Fedrosi are the 2 coaches that coach the linemen every day. And, I guess the best way I could describe it is we practice with a great degree of physicality. And some teams talk about we don't hit much in practice, and, we save our hitting for Friday night. But, in a lot of ways, you don't really learn how to do that when you're 16, 17-year-old people unless you do it in practice. And, our guys hit the sled every day. They hit, and this is a sled from the 1970s. This is not a small sled that's very easy to move. It's a big sled that doesn't move much, that takes 7 guys. And we just grind away on it. And on Tuesdays, they actually hit the sled twice. Once we get into practice, once at the end of practice, and they're in the chutes. And, it's just, I think how you practice, really goes a long way to how you're going to play on Friday night. And we just, again, it's nothing new that I'm doing as a head coach, and it's probably nothing new that Coach Holmes did when he took over. This is just, again, this is the way that our linemen's always practice, and I think you see dividends on Friday nights when you do that.